John!
John!
And we're live.
John, you suck!
Welcome to another episode of Robot Pigeon Panda. We're doing a live stream today with my co-host, as always, Cerebus.
Yeah, it's Robot Panda Pigeon. That's how it should start. Damn it.
All right. Well, I guess something has to be messed up. So I guess you did drop the ball in the title.
And the signal boosting.
And the
and the signal boosting. Yes, I apologize.
I'm a guest. Actually, just everything.
Basically, you fucked up.
Welcome to another episode of Robot Pigeon Panda.
And now somebody's playing it live.
Mute, please.
My co-host, as always, Cerebus.
Just.
Dominique. We're getting an echo here. Could you if you have the YouTube player, could you
mute it?
Mute it. Did drop the ball title.
Professionalism here is real.
Yep. Our guests are the premium guests. They know what they're doing, just like us. We know what we're doing.
Hey, doorman of a car, just because you get to tell King Apollo to shut the fuck up doesn't mean that all of us have such powers.
Okay, yeah, all the power. Fucking.
We also have, I'd like to also introduce my second co-host, Pigeon, and I'd also, of course, like to introduce our guest, Zombie Neath.
Hello!
Also known as Zombie Jess.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's from Zone of the Enders. It's Zombie Nate. It's one of the orbital frames.
Yeah, that's why you're cool. Unlike John, who's a fucking panda.
Amish panda. And we're not entirely convinced that he isn't going to show up at school at some point.
And we're just
it looks reasonable at this point, sadly.
Anyway, Jess, can you confirm Zone of the Enders 3 or not? Ever? Zone of the Enders kill? Is it over? Is the dream dead? Do we give up?
All right, let's ask our guests some questions.
That was a question.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Carry on.
As a Zone of the Enders fan, do you feel there will ever be a Zone of the Enders 3?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I got the HD remaster. That'll have to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a sad time for any originality in gaming.
Hey guys, it's fine. One Piece is still going. Yep. Still got video games being pumped out. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. All right, fine. Right. So this segment, basically, that we're doing tonight to however many people is just basically a kind of not your shield kind of shout out, basically, because. Let's face it, it's been a bit of a difficult week for Gamergate, and by that it's also been a difficult week for the sister hashtag as well. And basically, Not Your Shield does some fantastic work, so we're kind of just sort of pimping that out at the moment with a few people that might have a huge Twitter presence at the moment, but might not have been on sort of streams as much. And just to, obviously, though, one of ours is now on Whiskey Grenade, so that just fucks that right up. Yeah, so.
No loyalty from these people.
No. Never mind. But yeah, so that's what kind of this segment's about. So.
All right. I'd like to start by asking the guests a few questions about how they started getting involved in Gamergate. Like, how did you first hear of the controversies surrounding the current issues of corruption in journalism, and what was your initial reaction to that?
Okay, my first exposure really was the Gamers Are Dead ensemble from all of the different outlets. It was basically just decrying the whole community as a bunch of sexist arseholes, which I know to be factually incorrect, having been gaming since the N64 when I was very little. Not once has anyone ever said to me, "Oh, lol, get out, bitch, you're a girl." Like, that doesn't happen. And so, of course, that just led me to look into it a bit deeper. I found out about the Zoe post, blah, blah, blah. Don't really care what Zoe's up to. She's none of my concern. But the fact of the matter is that they are using all of these bullshit arguments to try and deflect from their own incompetence, which is what got me involved in the first place.
Okay, and compared to where you were when you first started and where you are now, how do you see the Gamergate controversy? What is your view of it right now, of what we've accomplished and where we're headed?
We've accomplished a great deal. I mean, a lot of advertisers have pulled out. It's coming to the attention of mainstream media, not completely positively, but then on the same token, I think that with it being in the mainstream media, it's coming to more and more gamers' attention, and that can only be a good thing because, you know, we're all being lied about here, and the more people that come in here and tell them, no, this is bullshit, the better. Where it's heading at the moment, we did have a bit of a hiccup with Paul recently. Not going to go into that. Totally irrelevant. But yeah, I don't think the end game's anywhere near in sight at the minute. But we just got to keep on trucking.
All right, and what are your thoughts, general thoughts on Not Your Shield, and what is your take on that?
I'm annoyed that the goalposts keep being moved on Not Your Shield. It was initially just to say that the gaming community is diverse, it's always been diverse, and anybody claiming otherwise is either willfully ignorant or is just being deliberately deceptive. And it also highlights the fact that I'm entitled to speak for myself, and it doesn't by default place me with anti-Gamergate being female or being mixed race. So when I see Arthur Chu on TV saying it's the equivalent of saying, "Oh, I can't be racist, I have a black friend," it riles me up a bit because Not Your Shield came into force because the first reaction to me coming onto Twitter is, "Oh, well, your opinion's totally irrelevant because you're fucking white." Like, first of all, your opinion, the validity of it, does not hinge on whether or not you are male or white. And secondly, no, I'm not. But then as soon as I prove that to be totally false, like the next thing they go to is, "Oh well, you're obviously brainwashed by the evil white devil." So yeah, Not Your Shields, I think maybe it's at a bit of an impasse at the moment, purely because Arthur Chu's gone on TV and totally misrepresented what it's about.
What would you say to people who miscategorize Not Your Shield? Because I do agree that I think people are missing how it's really about self-empowerment. For instance, you don't say Not Your Shield to represent someone else. You're supposed to use it as a way to say, you don't speak for me. You can't categorize me based on what I am. You should listen to who I am and what I have to say. So when someone does say that, basically it's the equivalent of saying I have black friends, what would be your response to that?
It's totally false. Not Your Shield is used by people like me, by women, by ethnic minorities, by homosexual people, by bisexual people. It's in order to give us the voice that people deny even exists. But according to them, the gaming community is all straight white men, and that is just undeniably false. Whereas they're implying that Not Your Shield is used by white people essentially to say, "Oh, well, think of all the women and brown people," when that's not the way it's employed at all. So, yeah, I just meet remarks like that with ridicule and derision because that's exactly what it deserves.
Sir, Pigeon, do you have any questions?
I know, I'm just trying to think about how easy it would be to parody you by just putting ums and uhs in every other word. So, just give us a general background as Zombie Jess, if you wouldn't mind, if like kind of what kind of games you play and kind of what you've been up to in like just in gaming culture in the first place.
Oh, unfortunately, since joining Gamergate, I seem to do a lot more talking about how it's my right to play and enjoy games and fuck anybody who says otherwise than actually playing games. But I've just recently picked up a copy of Mass Effect 1 and 2, because I've never actually played those before, and I wanted to see what all the fuss is about, because there was a bit of a kerfuffle about one of the endings on Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to see what all the fuss was about there. I normally play sort of FPSs really, zombie things, Left 4 Dead, Resident Evil, all the good shit. I'm just
Good.
looking at stuff now, but yeah, it's a pretty weird collection, like Viva Pinata and Beautiful Katamari, alongside Gears of War. It's a
I
bit
was
of
always very sad I never picked up Viva Pinata. For some reason, that was always one of the Xbox games I always wanted to play, and I never actually got around to buying. Don't know why. I blame it
well,
on John.
well, on the face of it, it probably does just look like a game that was aimed at 5-year-olds, but it's actually really complex where the ecosystem's concerned, and I think it's really fun.
Yeah, I kind of like the kind of management simulator kind of games. I always like kind of doing the entire thing. Like, I've always kind of liked the Harvest Moon-esque kind of games. Not quite as much of a Farmville fan as John is, but you know, some of us can only be so hardcore, isn't that right, John?
I don't play Farmville. I don't know where you got this
You don't
notion
play
from.
any games.
No, that's not true. I play plenty of games. I've played Deus Ex, Human Revolution. I've played Dishonored, Hearthstone. I don't have to show my. Why am I even having to defend my gamer credit?
Wait, you played that? You played that, and you don't have a soul, John, about human revolution. You know about human suffering, and you still. Oh, never mind. That's going back to another conversation.
Did you not get any of the subtext in that fucking game?
No,
Did it
It
go
just
over
went-
your head, you Republican?
it just went like a 747 over his head and straight into the Twin Towers. America, yeah.
Nah. I love that game because it's a game that really touches on social issues in a way that's not patronizing, and it really goes into like a lot about the human condition in a variety of ways. And I'd love to play that game again someday. But
You don't play video games, yeah. But anyway, with all of John's spaghetti out of the way, so what do you think, Jess? What do you think the current trajectory for Gamergate is, and what do you think, or like, what do you think's next for Gamergate?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't claim to be clairvoyant in these issues, but there's no way. If we haven't had apologies already and people haven't been sacked already, it's not going to happen. And so we need to just totally cut all the money off until there's nothing left.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I've always been kind of not a fan of some people have some very rosy ideas of kind of how it's gonna go.
I'm sorry, everything will be fine then.
Yeah, it's
No.
So at the moment, it seems like it's kind of the perfect climate for an almost the semi-fanatic movement. We're kind of so upset and so we feel so marginalised. I don't think there really is a way of getting it to stop until it's essentially kind of the burn it to the ground kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I always play it out hypothetically in my mind as if they were in some less important job, say retail, and somebody's buying something and the cashier's like, oh, well, fuck you people. You people don't have to be our audience anymore. And then they ask for the manager, and the manager comes out and goes, ha ha, fuck this guy. What's he mad about? And then rings up a whole bunch of other shops who aren't even part of the franchise going, have you heard this prick? Look at what he's saying. Like, if this thing actually happened in retail, all of these people would be sacked on the spot. Why is this allowed to happen?
Yeah, it seems incredibly strange that they're allowed to be so antagonizing to their own consumer base. Like with the case of Leigh Alexander and Gama Sutra, their kind of argument is, well, video game players aren't our demographic. Okay, it's supposedly aimed at, what is it? It's supposedly aimed at...
Yeah, I don't think that means it's
Game
acceptable for you
developers.
to hop on Twitter and say,
Yeah.
I am games journalism, I'm a
And
megaphone, I'll destroy your career, faggot. Like, you can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and it's just quite naive to kind of assume that, oh well, no, we only appeal to game developers. Well, don't you think the video game players are also interested in video game development?
Well,
Like people with
exactly.
people who are interested in cars often like actually learning how their cars works. You know, like
Well, precisely.
it's just ridiculous. I don't understand these people. They make me sad.
No,
They
they
make
make
you
us
sad.
the whole industry and then say it's our fault that the way it is, and I don't understand why they do that.
Just a question for myself. Have you had much in the way of any sort of media coverage for Not Your Shield as Gamergate has? I mean, from what I've seen, and I don't read much of the shit that comes out against us because it's just
No.
miserable. I mean, has anyone ever approached anyone in Not Your Shield for a comment from what you've seen? You know, from the mass media for like even a soundbite, or you know, have you seen anything like that?
I don't think so. I think maybe Pac-Man asked Oliver Campbell on the show, but not in respect of Not Your Shield, I don't think.
Do you feel that they're ignoring it because it's an inconvenient truth, or is it just because it's not newsworthy to them, basically, because of sort of like in comparison to Gamergate, they see it as quite small. You know, they see that it kind of validates the argument that we have. You know, that those original articles were actually quite, despicable if people actually stopped and read into the context of them.
I do genuinely believe that it is willful ignorance. The whole reason that their narrative survives, that it's just angry little white boys saying that they don't want girls and their cooties in gaming, will only hold up if they can claim that anybody who's a part of Gamergate just belongs to that demographic. So that explains perfectly why I was just dismissed as a sock puppet in the beginning, and then when I proved otherwise, it's because I'm silly and I don't know how to conduct myself as a woman and as a mixed race person. I'm a silly girl, and so they do it on purpose because they know damn well that that angle does not hold up to scrutiny when you actually analyse the people who are a part of Gamergate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have imagined a piece in The Guardian reading if it was something else that wasn't, that if it was just attached to anything else rather than the narrative that has happened now, it'd be all over, a movement like Not Your Shield.
I'm really shocked at The Guardian because they had one of the columnists, one of the women, going on Twitter and going, "Ha ha ha, shitlords, piss babies." I'm like, oh my god. That's a reflection on The Guardian. What is this?
I know. The problem with The Guardian is that it's actually quite inherently tied to the problem that we have at the moment as pushing op-ed as actual news, giving people like Penny Red, Jen Franks, more of a kind of more leeway, even, and then just retracting it by sort of saying that they're bloggers and these are opinion pieces, but they're pushed as news.
Oh god, yeah, they're always bloggers when it's convenient and responsibility taken for something.
God damn it! Sorry, I just started reading chat and Carter Plays, who promised to buy me Advanced Warfare, never fucking did. Said, has anyone bought you Advanced Warfare yet? You're a cunt, Carter Plays. Don't like you. We're not friends anymore. You're not allowed on the stream. Not until you've earned the season pass.
You're taking your stream home and,
Pigeon,
Yeah,
you're not actually in charge of the streams. I'll determine if anyone is banned or not. And I
Oh,
say,
yeah, because you're so in charge, aren't you? Who did the signal boosting and the door banning today?
I helped signal boost. That was my part.
Infighting!
You retweeted my tweet.
Oh man! Oh, we got a question from the chat that's actually legitimate. Well, it's actually from Sour Grapes, and she talks a lot of shit. But what is your opinion on making games that have intention of promoting diverse races, genders, sexualities, etc.? Do you personally find them patronising or uplifting?
I don't object to having more diversity in games. That would be stupid. But on the same token, I don't want token characters. Like, oh look, here is black woman A and lesbian B. This makes our game good now. Like, I don't want that. I mean, I'm happy for there to be more inclusion. That's a fact. I mean, somebody asked me on Ask FM, how many diverse characters can you think of off the top of your head? Like, how many black women? I'm like, oh, Rochelle, Sheva, Fortune, yeah, I'm done. So there's definitely a disparity, but I don't think that that's an active choice by developers to exclude women and minorities from storytelling. But at the same time, I would only like them to include those characters if it means something and it's relevant.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that there's two problems with storytelling that you can run into when it comes to diversity. There's have an exclusive mentality, which is basically says, nope, there shouldn't be any people of this group or that group in there because this offends me and I don't like those people. And there's the reverse of the inclusionary mentality, where basically, oh, well, we must have this type of character here, we must have this type of character here in order to be all-inclusive. And then what usually ends up happening, because they don't fit the story, they become token characters and they're just there for the sake of being there instead of being their own. Like, for me personally, when I write characters, I get rid of the identity cards in politics, and I just review them as people and humans first, and what they do first before anything else.
Yeah, precisely.
Brilliant. So I'm just trying to get Sour Grapes on, but for some reason I don't have her on Skype, so I'm going to have to DM you, Sour. Please check your Twitter.
It's quite interesting. I've just murdered my way through a small army, basically, on Advanced Warfare, and the only female character was an unplayable character on my side. You know, but I guess the thing is that everybody just like shits that off as, oh, that's COD, that would do. But actually, in the premise of this story, you were fighting a private military company, so there could have been more women in this title. And unfortunately, the black guy dies.
Oh, no! Why?
Just get over that trope. It was actually pretty cool.
Thanks for ruining that game that I haven't played
Oh,
yet.
sorry, yeah, everybody chat. Bruce Willis was a ghost. Fuck you.
For fuck's sake.
I think after 10 years of the film being out, you're allowed to tell people about the ending.
Inception, nobody knows what the ending is.
I have another spoiler. In Titanic, the ship sinks.
No, it doesn't. There's Zombie Jack. He comes back with the whole crew. Electric Boogaloo.
Was that the director's cut?
Yeah. Wow, check wow, wow. It has got a sex scene in it. Again. With zombies. Totally.
Oh,
I don't know.
God damn it. Why are we talking shit already?
I don't know. Because we need more questions. People, come up with questions. Seriously. This is like a shit interview.
Faso Goose asked in chat at Sour Grape, reverting to a question towards Jess. He asked, 2 secs, I lost it for a second there. Would you count Ubisoft among those game developers? The Arse Creed series always has the multi-diversion otherkin dev teams claim at the beginning of their titles. I really hate that entire thing that they have to do that just because it's, based in some kind of historical context. It's like, we don't hate anybody. We've got Jews here too, guys. It's fine.
Yeah. I expect my games to be created by, a diverse fucking team, of the best people chosen by merit, not on fucking nepotism or, cronyism. And that's why developers are, because it's the same as Carmack talking about the Oculus Rift. We would hire anybody if they can do the job.
Yeah, that wasn't he actually asked that question by essentially what looked like a Tumblrina? He essentially said, "Why don't you have any women on on the directors board for Oculus Rift?"
Resent that idea.
Yeah, and they said, they just sat there and responded, "Well, believe it or not, we have been trying, but nobody's actually been applying who has any decent, any credibility. Like, we're not going to give that kind of position away to someone who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing."
It's called equal opportunity. Everybody is allowed to apply, and it just means that women aren't as interested or as qualified. Just because there's a disparity does not mean that they actively discriminate against women. I am one of 4 women in a class full of 30 in vehicle maintenance and repair. Now I don't go, "Oh my god, soggy knees." I just go, "Oh, well, they're obviously still more interested in hair and beauty. I'm not fucking arsed. I don't care."
Yeah, and your general nurturing roles a lot of the time. A lot of childcare is quite popular, isn't it? And
yeah.
And then if they go the academic route, it's usually things like English lit, drama, fucking psychology, sociology, and gender studies, which I'm very sad that that's actually even a
Why
degree.
is that a subject?
I don't. Yeah, but isn't it actually
Not
now?
so much. Not so much over here. Still, it's still
Isn't-
pretty. You know.
More just sociology, isn't it? I've never heard of gender.
Sociology has been clusterfucked by the entire kind of genderish studies kind of field. I can tell you for a fact that at my university there's like a, you know how like all the modern universities, they have all the different like social groups, like they'll have an anime group, they'll have a sci-fi group, you know, and you could go join societies. That's what they're called, societies.
Yeah.
And there's a feminism society.
Oh no!
And I was like, oh, no, that's not necessarily bad. Like they probably just got
There's
some.
nothing inherently wrong with it, but it's been bastardised to a point now where it's just
Yeah,
like.
and I checked out the Facebook like page and what they've all been posting, and I was kind of just like, well, maybe they're just equity feminists. Maybe they're just trying to address the. And then all I see is white privilege, thin privilege, and I'm just like, oh Jesus Christ.
I'd like to take a moment to welcome Sour Grapes on the show.
I don't.
Sour is a Sour. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I have a YouTube channel. It sucks. Don't watch it.
Don't worry, we don't. It's okay.
Good.
I watch it as often as I send out those emails.
Oh. Pigeon confirmed for Gawker show.
I wish I
yeah.
was. I wish I was getting paid. Jesus Christ. It'd be great.
Did you get?
Right?
I hear you get 15 minutes in the jacuzzi for every shill post you make.
No, I heard it was fucking an hour in the ball pit.
Oh yeah, DashCon. Yeah, you'll be a reporter at DashCon. You just gotta get your own snorkel. It's not provided for the ball pit.
What, and like one of those? What do they use to record the audio of like lecture halls? What do a lot of people use? It's like a recorder that's kind of designed for the acoustics of lecture halls. What are they called?
I don't know.
You fucking don't you have a master's degree? Surely you should know what that's called.
But like I said to fucking Henry, it wasn't in weird recording things or Finnish history. You know, seriously, it was pretty specialised.
I'm so offended.
You're so triggered.
History is so important to the rest of the world.
FYI, sorry if I'm gonna sound really lazy and tired. It's just because I am. I just finished SJW Bingo, and I don't want to read any more of that shit anymore.
What is SJW Bingo? So
I read a lot of academic SJW stuff for my research, but there was one I really didn't want to read, so I thought I should just make a game of it. It's SJW Bingo, and you have a bingo card, and you have those, you know, SJW buzzwords, and you put it in a bingo card, and and you just go from there. And I won twice today. It was fucking awesome. But
if you were to do an SJW drinking game, you'd probably
that's what
just
me
be
and my
dead
friend are
by the
probably
end of
gonna
it.
do. The word
By the end of it.
the word privilege came up a lot, and what was the other one? Problematic. Problematic came up a lot.
That's so nondescript. Fuck off with problematic, please.
But that's why they like it. Like, it's nondescript, so they're not necessarily referring to you, but they're referring to you.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's a catch-all way to accuse somebody of being bad without actually accusing them.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, this is going to sound racist as hell, but white people know how to be passive-aggressive. They invented it. I swear to God. They just invented that shit. Because every time I read those papers, it's just drooling with passive-aggressivism all over it.
Didn't appropriate it culturally.
But that's
Yeah, I don't think I did, because I'm Puerto Rican, and, you know, we speak with machetes. We don't really, you know, passive-aggressivism is not our forte.
So do you
Sarcasm
just go
either.
You go shopping with a machete then, just in case.
Yeah, I just go shopping with a machete.
Well, that's fair enough. You know.
The deliciously ironic part is that it's almost always white people condemning
It is.
other white people.
It is.
What?
And that's why I'm just gonna sound tired today because
That's why I'm a better white person than you
Yeah.
in particular.
It's a bit like how if you watch like any television, like there was a thing with Nigel Farage, as much as that guy is a dick.
Yeah.
He was on a like some kind of talk show or something, and there was a there was a third wave feminist on there as well talking about the wage gap. And one thing that always strikes me is that the people complaining about the wage gap are not like women in high positions of power saying, yeah, no, there's some serious things wrong here, guys. It's never those. It's always the people whose entire career is based off of, oh no, there's this inequality. Do you know why the really big business women in England don't appear on these talk shows? Because they're busy fucking working.
Correct! Not like Theresa May wearing "This is what feminism looks like" that's been produced in a fucking sweatshop. Oh my days.
Possibly, quite possibly by a small child that could or could not be a gender binary girl.
Come see the oppression inherent in the system.
We need more girls in sweatshops. Yeah.
Wait, what is the sweatshop exactly, though? Like, is it just a shop filled with people of color? Like, I don't understand. Do they get paid really poorly according to where they live?
Pay probably about 2p a shirt when people are paying £15 for them in the UK.
Yeah.
They basically guarantee cheap produce for America.
Oh.
Hi, John. And they prop up the capitalist, oppression wagon because nobody wants to pay, what these might cost in, for instance, if they were made in America, because if they were, they'd cost about 10 times fucking more.
But women in economically developed countries are suffering, so we have to exploit these women in poor countries.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit like...
If you want to send a feminist, somewhere else, they might actually have their eyes open for a second.
It's a bit like with what's his name? Like that. Like Richard Dawkins made a really good point, and for some reason everyone lambasted him for it. Even people like very normally quite free-thinking people in England that I know. Like when you talk about Richard Dawkins, they're like, "Oh, isn't that guy who like shat on women on Twitter once?" And I'm like, "Wait, what did he say?" And they're like, "Oh, apparently he says like fuck women or something." And then you go and look at it, and he's saying, "I really don't understand why there's an atheist feminism thing happening now. If you care so much about feminism, why aren't you helping women in underdeveloped countries that have it far worse?" And they flipped their shit.
True.
They were just like
complaining that a waiter assumed that a salad was for you, the woman, when there are girls being subjected to female genital mutilation elsewhere. Get your fucking priorities straight.
Yeah, plus, like, seriously, I'm not being funny, but if you're gonna order a salad on a date, then we're just over. No, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. You have to order. If you're going to Nando's and you're getting just like a glass of water or something, man, fuck you. This is over.
I fucking hate Nando's.
Get out.
No, what is it with this country and the fucking love of Nando's?
Love Nando's! I know it's overpriced, but it is good shit.
It is seriously overpriced.
It's fucking just really bland, boring bollocks.
It's bland if you don't have any spice on it, Paul.
Oh, God, you people. People, the SJWs are fucking Mexican food, seriously.
How dare you?
No, how right I am. No,
how dare you? You take that back about Nando's.
No. No. Stop oppressing me.
KFC's the fucking Phil Fish of the chicken world.
Oh,
and this is genuinely true, by the way. If you want the best chicken in England, you go to the places that are predominantly black neighbourhoods. They always have better chicken there. That is just.
Oh, God.
No, it's true. Because black people have better tasting chicken.
This will be our last episode. Thank you very much.
Your shield
I'd like to thank the closet stereotypes of Pigeon.
Sometimes, just because it's stereotype doesn't mean it isn't true, okay?
It's pretty good, I'm not going to lie. But I stand by it, it's Phil Fish tier. Like, Nando's is where it's at for chicken.
Yeah, and also favourite chicken's just better than KFC. Like, it just is. I'm sorry.
Bird's eye chicken nuggets. Fuck yeah.
What? Now I know you've got a problem. Seriously. Reconstituted chicken shreds with
Anuses.
newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reconstituted chicken tears, yeah.
You struggle to get any meat in the UK now that hasn't got horse in it, so don't even judge.
No. Oh.
I don't think I've ever actually ate a proper horse meat before. It's quite sad.
You probably have, you just haven't realised it.
If you can sneak it into a fish finger, it can't be that offensive.
Fingers, oh dear.
Oh. We don't want to ask about his fishy fingers, seriously.
But Jess, so I kind of believe that a lot of people been talking about the idea of a co-option when it comes to a lot of things with really good intentions, like a good example would be political correctness or just generally sociology as a whole now. Do you agree with this, or do you think it's another issue? And if you do agree with it, like why do you think so? Because that seems to be a big issue for Not Your Shield. Is essentially the idea of other people speaking for people who are apparently oppressed, whilst they're out actually doing things. Going, wait, what? I'm oppressed. Oh, okay. Thanks for talking about me, white woman.
I don't appreciate anybody speaking on my behalf. It doesn't really matter. But it just emphasises that fact when, yeah, I've got people who aren't mixed race, who aren't female, who are saying, "Oh, look at Jess, she's so oppressed, bless her." Like, you don't fucking know me.
Okay, never mind. That was a hilarious line. Can we save that for some sort of reel? You don't know me!
You don't know me. Anybody got time for that?
Yeah, there first, guys.
So, do you have any very introspective questions for Jess?
I asked my question. It was quite introspective. Now I'm trying not to die in multiplayer. So, you know, John should say something.
Do some Sargon streams.
I started. No. Well, John's supposed to be the host with the
I am the host.
Well, fucking do something then.
Well, I was having fun listening to you guys talk, so it was fun.
I have a question, and it might
Go
be
for it.
devil's advocate here because I just feel like being a devil's advocate today. As it pertains to white people, basically, or white males usually, saying that Not Your Shield are trying to represent you because they feel that you're oppressed. Do you think they have any evidence to back that claim?
Not Your Shield are trying to represent me. Because I'm
No,
oppressed.
that let's say a certain white male person says to you that you are oppressed by some sort of industry, or that you as a woman in this industry, it's going to be difficult for you. Do you think they have any evidence to back that claim at all, or do you think they're just going on emotion? Because they have to be, the catalyst has to be something.
It's purely an appeal to emotion. You can't just cite a disparity in men and women employed in a certain field and say that that's active discrimination against women. I don't see many women being bin collectors, for example, but nobody pisses and moans about that. It's just
So, John, are you going to whine at her for saying bin collectors now? Huh?
What?
trash collectors. I don't know.
I'm a fucking trash can.
Back on topic.
Okay.
I think that take a look.
Sorry, John. I'll shut up. Fine.
Let the man speak.
Thank you. I think that when it comes to the look of what's going on when it comes to different fields and the gender disparity in those fields, there's one of two things that may be going on, and they're not mutually exclusive. There may be some barriers in there, but if you're going to claim if there's barriers, you have to back it up with objective evidence that is fact-based and gone under peer review research. If there is such barriers, like me personally, I like to know about that, because if people are being excluded from certain fields based on who they are, based on what they are as opposed to their credentials or their qualifications, then that is a problem and needs to be addressed. But that is a very high claim to make, and you better have some evidence to back it up if you are going to make that claim. I'm inclined to agree that what's really going on is that there's different people with different lifestyle choices based on cultural influences of the past still applying in the present day. Now, if you view that as a problem or not, there are different ways of going about it than interfering with how companies work and operate, or trying to push some authoritarian left agenda. You can encourage different people to do different things. The goals established by the Fine Young Capitalists, for instance, they seem like they want to promote women in a positive way, to build them up rather than to tear something else down. So something like that may be a better direction to go if you're inclined to believe that disparity in different fields is a problem.
Well, the other thing that they seem to never address, even in sociology, the thing is that if you're doing, for example, A-level sociology, the way it usually goes is, okay, this is where the theories behind why this problem exists. You've got the extreme right wingers. This is what they're saying, and here's what the feminists are saying about something about the patriarchy and privilege. But for some reason, when you go to university, it completely shifts, where all of a sudden they're given a lot more credence. I think it's almost like they're just worried about speaking out against them, because otherwise they're just going to get labelled as women haters. It seems a lot of the time. It's really strange. If you do sociology as kind of a major, not fucking major, as a degree, fucking Amerifat, you do just kind of find that there's all of a sudden this really major shift into being taken incredibly seriously, and they never, and that's just kind of disgusting when it comes to sociology, because a lot of the evidence behind sociology seems to be, it isn't so much an issue of a certain people being depressed, it's that people with poorer socioeconomic backgrounds generally just have a harder start in life. And that's why there's a disparity in a lot of these things. But they never mention that. It's always something about oppression. It's never anything to do with the fact that where you're born and the what's the word?
The environment.
Yeah, the environment in which you're in. You don't get the same kind of access to a lot of decent education. You don't get the same you don't get daddy's money sending you to university, I know Alex Shitlips, for example. You just you do just get that.
This kid
it's not an issue
for depression. My God.
It's never a fucking issue for these people. They never look at it like that. It's always some kind of oppression. It's always some kind of discrimination. And it's not necessarily that. If that was really the case, then I'm pretty sure that most companies are quite worried at getting labelled with these kind of things. I mean, you had Daniel Vavra saying when Poe asked him, would you hire Zoe Quinn? He was like, well, no, but that's simply because she seems to be so fucking toxic. If you hired her, how quickly would you get branded with a sexual harassment claim if you just decided to not agree with her 100%?
Were you just gonna say how quickly were you gonna get laid?
I
If you agree with her, probably, but if you disagree with her, you're probably some shit. I'd imagine.
She just eats people that she sleeps with anyway. That's why there's no victims to come forward. Oh wait, sorry, I shouldn't mention that conspiracy theory.
Oh my God.
Hey, let's steer away from the soggy knees for a second, lads.
Okay.
God damn it, sir.
God damn it, sorry.
Another thing that's been bothering me lately is this a coincidence in a way that at this point, especially, I mean, I'm just gonna let it all out there. I'm an anti-feminist, but I'm not part of the MRA at all. And it just seems like this year especially, feminism has been trying to become entrenched into culture because a lot of people don't label themselves as feminists. Do you think it's a coincidence that it's now that a lot of people who claim they are feminists are writing about different aspects of human culture, even video games, even RPGs and comic books?
Is that directed at anyone in particular?
Anyone, yeah.
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, we've now had the year where basically someone just goes, "Oh, are you for female equality?" Yeah. Oh, you're a feminist. I bloody hate that. That is, you do not tell me that I
It's
subscribe
the
to an
exact,
ideology.
it's the exact same argument of do you believe that you should treat people fairly and not lie where you can help it? Yeah, okay, well then you're a Christian. Wait, what?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
In my opinion, when it comes to the issue of feminism, I'm not for or against it. To me, being a feminist is a personal thing, and what that means to you is just a suggestive thing on an individual basis. Kind of like religion, but not quite the same. There are very reasonable feminists, in my opinion, like Christina Hoff Sommers, and Liana Kay, and some other people I could mention, but my understanding of like hold on, I apologize, I lost my train of thought. Right.
Oh no, the pandemonium.
Yeah.
Oh,
but what I
dear
am against
God.
is
Pun time.
No. Okay.
Back on topic. What I am against is stupid feminism. Ones that are basically misandrist, which we have seen some blatantly misandrist feminists come to light. Transphobic feminists who say that basically people who are basically trans people don't get a say in any of the issues, or basically feminists who are pretty exclusionary and unopen to willing to listen to other ideas, and especially when it comes to like the MRA issues. Although I think the MRAs suffer the exact same problem as feminists.
well, most definitely, it's like that's kind of the like I feel like a huge issue when it comes to the entire MRA thing is that I kind of feel it's almost like Gamergators, where you kind of get a sense of there are a lot of reasonable people, and then there's a few that if you say any kind of dissenting opinion, you're son of a shill. If you aren't so like was it rosy-eyed about the entire thing? It's like it's just what happens when you create a climate for. Well, it's creating a climate for radicalism when you isolate and you marginalize a group of people. Of course, they're going to react so emotionally. And with MRAs, I think it's often quite the same issue. Like, the MRA now is like an incredibly dirty word. Why is it that men's right activism is a dirty word when women's right activism isn't seen the same? Like, there is, like, if you go onto the MRA board on Reddit, for example, there's an awful lot of posts talking of essentially anti-third wave feminist ideologies and things like that. A lot of the things that they kind of feel what's the word, that kind of contribute to kind of the disparity in like a lot of laws. For example, with women, essentially you're just kind of less likely to get done for violent crimes in court than if you were a man. Like that is a natural figure. Like that is just far more likely.
A legitimate defence for murder is having PMT. Did you know that?
What?
That did actually happen. Didn't a woman actually run over
I was
and
on the
kill?
blog, so you know that. Please consider that in mitigation.
And like, didn't a woman actually run over her husband and then back up over him to make sure he was dead because he did say something really spiteful, but essentially in court they essentially got her off the hook for it by saying, well, it was a crime of passion because she may or may not have been on her period.
Got diminished responsibility for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Lordy Lord.
It's like you kind of got equality. You've got like equity and equality feminism.
Known about having their own agency, and then at any opportunity to be infantilized and not take responsibility for anything. Oh yeah, we'll just eat that shit up.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the big problem with it, and I kind of feel like that's why you kind of get those problems with things like the MRA movement. There is quite a lot of disparity both ways in society with a lot of laws. Like usually with completely different issues, but it's just one of those kind of sad truths that unfortunately, if you're a bloke and you're going and you're having a divorce, chances are you're pretty fucked when it comes to seeing your children because you're their dad and their mother.
Domestic violence, if you hit your wife, you're the biggest piece of shit going. If somebody hits their husband, that's hilarious, and lol, he got beat by a girl.
Yeah, and you're just supposed to man up and accept it. Yeah, I'm an equality feminist. If anyone was to hit me who I was in a relationship with, I'd hit them back.
Lay a hand on me, it'll be the last thing you ever do. I don't give a shit who you are.
Yeah.
But like, I think this isn't like like this whole, I don't think it's a coincidence that this group of third wave feminists are trying to get involved with certain niche hobbies like gaming and everything of that sort, because this year they've really been desperate. Like you saw that video with those children that are screaming obscenities and foul
Oh, that.
language. It's a
Oh my
desperate
God.
attempt to try to stay relevant in any culture they can. People are not identifying as feminists, and there's a good reason, but they won't investigate that reason
No,
because
Emma
there's a lack
Watson.
of introversion. There's a lack of introspection.
Yeah,
They can't do it.
Emma Watson was trying to, say
Exactly.
it's a dirty word now. Well, why? Why? Look at why. Instead of just saying woe be me, basically woe betide me and my people. But she changed the goalpost with the definition, and then people are saying, oh, it doesn't matter about definitions. Well, definitions are fucking
Oh
important.
my God, how do you expect to coherently form an argument if you're just going to fucking throw the dictionary out the window?
You can't. Well, that's the thing. I got very in a heated conversation with a friend who was saying, is it important that we focus on the definitions or what this woman is trying to say about the message of feminism? But I was saying to him, it isn't the message of feminism,
No.
feminism, because that's a branch of egalitarianism, but she's espousing egalitarian principles, not feminist principles. He for she is, hey everybody, let's treat everybody nice. That's not feminism. Feminism deals with female issues. The hint is in the fucking title.
Correct.
So at least admit that it is about issues that affect females first and primarily. And if
But in a way, it wasn't about making everyone feel nice, because if you listen to those speeches, they clearly say, well, men don't express themselves. Now, what do you think that means, men don't express themselves? Well, it means that they never talk to men, because men express themselves a lot, it's just that they don't want to listen. They don't express themselves like a woman does. Now, when we look at gaming culture, we know there's a lot of men in gaming culture. A lot of men made the games like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, and they express themselves that way. But is it acknowledged? No, and it won't ever be acknowledged. If they have that lack of introspection, they don't care. They just don't.
Yeah.
I've actually
I think-
heard some feminist theories that, like, even to do with things like English language studies, like
Yeah.
in terms of
They'll get involved with that because they're on the last leg. They don't know where to go.
they want to stay relevant in anything.
Biology.
No, that's just you're just shitboard. What's happening?
No, seriously, organic matter can just bend to the will of women now. Didn't you know?
Wait, you're the like Magneto of organic matter. Are you gonna say?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna go get in my concrete bunker. That's all the good it will do. Fucking no, we'll get one of those pillow forts put together with no girls allowed. Peter Griffin.
Oh,
You're
Okay.
allowed in if you can beat me at StarCraft 2, otherwise no dice.
Is that a
Actually,
challenge?
saying, yeah, and, it is. John's not allowed in it. He can't beat me at StarCraft 2.
I fully admit and own up to the fact that I am shit at StarCraft 2. So
John has basically got rickets and also a calcium deficiency, so he can't actually operate a mouse for more than 5 seconds, which is why his choice of game is Farmville.
Wait a minute. Does he
Still
need
hate
more
Farmville.
minerals?
What's that?
Does he need more minerals? He has a
Yeah, he
calcium
does.
deficiency?
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I got that
It's a
joke.
very old disease.
All right. Well, we are approaching the end of the hour, which means we will have to say goodbye to Zombie Neath, and we will have to introduce the next guest.
You shouldn't be so certain about that. It seems somebody hasn't got in contact with us yet, despite being poked and prodded.
Okay, who's the next guest after that? I believe they're aware.
We have 2 potential guests. That is Sith Lord Sabrina and Lemmingbot. I believe Lemmingbot's probably just stepped away from her computer at the moment because we were saying that she'd probably be on towards the end. But I have no idea what Sabrina's doing at the moment. I
Might
think
still be over at Whiskey Grenades stream.
God damn it! This is what happens. That's what happens, guys.
This is what
Damn you,
happens.
Whiskey Grenade!
Remember, we're low on the totem pole for celebrities here. We've just got Dorman, Fluffers, and John.
Well, I'd like to take. Well, on that note, I'd like to point out that the show really
Sorry
isn't
for
about.
him. Don't feel sorry for him. He is literally the Antichrist.
Oh,
Don't be mean.
Look at his picture on Skype and tell me that's not the killer from fucking a few. What's that movie? What's that movie? No Country for Old Men. That's the one.
What? Axel Scott?
Yeah, a younger version of that.
well, it's true, right? There are similarities there.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Norman
Psychopath.
In appearance
No.
only, I assure you. I'm not a psychopath, regardless of what popular opinion from Pigeon and Cerebus may be.
And
You're pre-programmed to rape everything you love, aren't you?
what?
You what, mate?
You what, mate?
Rad Bens in action.
Huh?
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you not heard the theory?
Oh.
Patriarchy
Is this-
theory and all the rest of it, but not the fact that men are pre-programmed to just rape everything.
Oh
That
my
explains
gosh.
John a lot.
I'm fucking serious. They actually say this shit.
That is so. Are they not aware that we live in modern society and that we're not savages in the wild? I mean,
Apparently you're not.
You're not.
Hey, that's a tall order for someone who can't cash that.
well,
I
it's
like how this stream has just evolved into beating on John now. It's great.
Yeah.
well, I
Yeah,
can take
it's
it.
bad. It's bad, and we can't really pick on people with calcium deficiency because they can't fight that.
No, that's ableist, and you should feel bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry, John. Little bones.
Every time I hear ableist, I just think of that fucker Wesley. Was it Will Wheaton?
Oh.
Like, I remember reading a blog post where he's like, I recognise that what I said was ableist, and I'm so sorry. It's just like, oh fuck you. Shut up, Wesley. No one liked you anyway.
Yeah, shut up, Wesley.
With a Wesley crushes.
Yeah.
I bet Dr. Crusher's well pissed off with what. Retroactive abortion should be a thing in Starfleet for fuck ups. Sorry. Okay. And moving on. On the Calm Hour, John, why don't you
Yes.
sing to us? Sing us the song of the people.
I believe Leamington has got back in contact with us, and she may be coming on soon. So you don't have to leave just yet, Jess. We wait for her to actually get in, but yeah, we have actually got our next guest, hopefully coming in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Hopefully.
Pigeon, you're gonna have to come to my office later this week.
I don't
You
think
don't
this
pay me.
really.
You don't even pay. It's not even you pay me enough. You just don't pay me.
I don't have to pay you. You're getting all that Gawker bucks.
I wish I was.
Oh.
Get in contact with me, mate.
Denton, if you're listening, I need monies too. Willing to shill for you.
Come on, like that's a high quality target right there. The doorman of a card.
Yeah.
As a female
I
that's
can get you
been
places,
on
Nick.
this whole stream, I should point out my Patreon at this point.
Oh, what?
Serve us a
You've been asking
Patreon.
questions.
You're
I'm on
the-
Patreon. It's a social experiment, honest.
You expected me to legitimately answer questions, and that is harassment. How dare you?
Where do you find these people?
To be fair, after this week, I needed a laugh, and this will do. Alright.
Were you watching the Pac-Man interview as well? And you said, what?
No, I've given up on Pac-Man now. Especially, I didn't find the Hot Wheels one particularly relevant to anything. It was-
Sorry, Sal wanted to say something.
I
Sal,
had
was
a
it?
question. Yeah. Do you think that Anita Sarkeesian is relevant, or is she just I don't know, what is she at this point? A con artist now, or
Anita's clout is growing, unfortunately.
really?
Well, yeah, she got on the freaking Colbert Report.
Oh
I mean-
yeah, like everyone there. Yeah, they have a lot of clout, including
All
Pigeon.
their reports where she couldn't name 3 games when she's supposed to be a game critic.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing. But she is still, unfortunately, for a talking bag of fecal matter, she is still quite relevant in this discussion, much to my
Really, she really tried her hardest to inject herself into game again. It fucking won't
Yeah.
work. That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I keep saying this. You need to ignore Anita. Anita only came to power because everyone decided to go ahead and troll her. That's the reality. Way back 2 years ago.
Like, Gamergate is nothing to do with her, and she just went straight on there, like, oh yeah, this is totally all about me. Like, no, sit down and eat.
If the thing is though, is that if no one was to give her any attention, it would just get to a point where she'd just have to start saying more and more outlandish shit to stay relevant, and like just in a desperate attempt, like after a while, it would just kind of devolve into I think the patriarchy killed JFK. 9/11 was an inside job. Somebody, please.
Exactly.
Look at me! Look at me! Yeah, that's what would happen, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need to do. Like, whenever you see anything about Anita, ignore it. I mean, she may be growing clout with SJWs and authoritarian left in general, but the reality is the reason why she has so much power is because we keep giving it to her. Her strategy is she baits it for attention, she deliberately trolls you, and then she alienates. And she doesn't respond to any criticism, does not want open dialogue, does not want discourse, does not want to respect you as a human being. And if someone is not going to respect you as a human being, you need to shut that person out of your life because they're just completely toxic. And she's doing this on a massive scale.
I would like for her to accept criticism on her research, and that'll be it. She can have her voice. Everybody can have their voice, because otherwise, then we're just not as we're worse than the people. But it shouldn't be the ultimate and be-all, end-all voice, which some people basically tout it as.
Prove your hypothesis, and then I'll stop criticising it.
Mm.
She is a PR master. Like somebody said to me the other day, isn't Anita going to be doing a debate with Christina Summers? And it's like, do you really think that's actually going to happen? A woman who's done debates with about, I think it's over hundreds.
Lemming, hold on, Pigeon. Lemming, could you turn off your camera for bandwidth?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
You'll make John drop his spaghetti more. This to happen.
No, he's asexual. So he's taken on that new card. He's a panda. They don't fuck.
Yeah.
No, they're too lazy.
Too busy eating bamboo.
Yeah. Eating bamboo, having irritable bowel syndrome from said bamboo.
No, legitimately. Legitimately, pandas apparently are often way too lazy to actually have sex, and they have lots of issues with that in like nations because there won't be any little baby pandas. They're so lazy.
And John just picked it because it was cute. He thought.
You know what? I picked the worst possible avatar. Thank you for reminding me.
To be honest, anything you'd have picked, we'd have trolled the shit out of.
That is fair. Fair. All right, Zombie Neath, we have reached the end of the hour, and we have next guest on. It was lovely having you. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Do you have anything you want to pimp out or show?
No, not particularly. Like, I wasn't even on Twitter before this all kicked off, but I just had to come over here. So, yeah. You know the deal. I have nothing to shill, but thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We will
Yes, we'd love to have you on again.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one. All right, and now we have Lemming. Lemming, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. Well, my name is Lemmingbot. I am a 21-year-old gaming student in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I have, I've been involved in anti-SJW stuff and things like that. And obviously, since I'm a gamer, this is a very passionate subject for me. So, I do spend a lot of my time like kind of working with other people in Gamergate. I'm currently actually thinking about talking to the head of my school's gaming department about it, just because, I am very passionate about defending my friends that just so happen to be male and straight, and I want to make sure that they are given a fair shake in this industry, because at the way it is now, I have it way easier than them, and I just don't think that's right.
What is the general attitude with your colleagues, people you go to school with, and people you work with towards the whole Gamergate situation? How are they responding to the controversies?
A lot of them are, pretty much all of them are unanimously in support. the only issue is that a lot of people don't talk about it, and I think they're just too busy actually playing video games to worry, which, you know, I can understand. They're fun. But I think that they should be a little bit more concerned. I'm not going to force them into it, but, you know, I've met everybody that I've really talked to about it has been like, yeah, that's totally bullshit, and I totally agree with you. But I think that they not only do they have other things they need to do, like be students, they're also, like I said, mostly male, mostly straight, mostly white. They don't have any leverage to kind of like use against people that might, you know, attack them for their views.
Okay. And what else was there? How did you first get involved with Gamergate? How did you first find out about it, and what was your initial reaction?
Well, the first time I heard about, well, I got into it kind of way back when it was the conspiracy. And it was totally by luck that I don't even know I was on the website, but I was on Know Your Meme for some reason. And I saw this picture of Zoe Quinn, and I've seen her before. I haven't met her in person before, but I know how she looks. And I knew the story, and I kind of bought into the story that she was harassed, and I'm like, oh no, is somebody bothering her? And I look at the article, and I start reading more, and I'm like, wait, she's kind of terrible. She's kind of a bad person. And I looked into it more. I watched a bunch of videos, and I became very passionate about it during the summer. And then when school started up, I had, you know, classes to worry about. I run I'm not the head mod, but I help run a anti-SJW blog on Tumblr, and that took a lot of time. And only recently, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, did I really get back into it.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Yeah, and since then, since you got back into Gamergate, what has been your attitude towards the successes and accomplishments, and where the consumer revolt is essentially heading in the future?
That I'm actually like seeing everything that's happened in between my then and now, and it's really amazing, to be totally honest. It's just I don't think any other movement has really ever been able to do this. Just totally take all of this like you know, just injustice and turn it out just totally around on its head, right back at the people that are against us. I think we're doing a great job, and I think that, you know, the events of this week, we did get a little bit off track, but I feel like that has been cleared up, and everybody's kind of, you know, just, you know, kind of refreshing themselves, taking a little bit of time, and I'm pretty sure within the next, I don't know, few days, we will probably be up and running as we were.
Okay. Pigeon and Sir and even Sour, do you have any guests for the guest at this point?
Sorry, I was just responding to people on Twitter, being a doorman's heart and having to think of questions at the same time. Sab, are you currently getting killed on? Are you getting currently killed on Advanced Warfare?
No, I'm in the lobby at the moment. 1 second. Right. No, shut up, Pigeon. Have you obviously? I mean, with more and more people. I mean, with regards to the Zoe Quinn story, and you say that you actually went and did the research, but I mean, a common problem that we're finding is that people just aren't willing to do that research, and it's quite easy to take the common media perception that Zoe Quinn is, you know, a victim of harassment. How do you think Gamergate is eventually going to, you know, overcome that hurdle? I know that we're still waiting for the Oliver Campbell thing to see if that might potentially yield some fact that someone was harassing themselves, but for the long term, how are we going to, you know, combat that sort of harassment message that has sort of stuck to Gamergate, at least in your eyes?
I feel like that's going to be super hard, to be honest. I mean, that the biggest hurdle I feel like Gamergate has to clear is the fact that we don't have the same amount of, I guess, media power and presence that our foes do. We don't have. I mean, like, obviously we have Oliver, we have Milo, but those are only two guys. We don't have the big media outlets on our side. Like, I feel like we have some gaming companies, but they're too afraid to step out and say we support this. I think that we ourselves should be willing to talk to our friends about it. Like, not in like a forceful way, but just if it comes up in conversation, definitely be sure to give them, like, try to dispel all of the bullshit that's been kind of going on in the media, and point them to links, pass around actual evidence of the fact that these people are that prove that these people are actually misrepresenting us. Yeah, just it sucks that we have to do this, and it sucks that we have to defend ourselves, and we have to prove that we're not harassers. It sucks that we have to do that, but and we have to. Otherwise, we're going to be totally just misrepresented forever.
I agree. I think we have been doing a good job showing that we're not harassers and not a hate group, because it's just by the numbers alone. Like, all these people spontaneously sprung up who just happen to be gamers, and they all happen to decide to go ahead and, according to the narrative, start a hate campaign against women and minorities. That makes no sense. The numbers just aren't there for that to happen.
Just applying a little bit of logic and having people think a little bit about it is usually more than enough to get them over to our side. Like the World of Warcraft thing that happened.
I didn't. I saw the whole World of Warcraft thing happen. I saw the Kotaku article, and I saw the video of him making the statement. Then I heard some people on Twitter saying that there was major support from the WoW community.
I would be very skeptical of that, for the simple reason that even the people within Blizzard and all the big kind of spokesmen for World of Warcraft, they kind of describe the WoW forums as kind of putting your hand into a baby's diaper. Like,
any company's forums are generally reviled, basically, by the type of people that they actually draw, because they're generally people that think they've got a direct sort of voice to the director, and they can just basically say anything that they want, and their opinions will matter because they are the fan base, and it's kind of a bit delusional. And I'm more skeptical after that. I mean, yes, he didn't have to necessarily agree with the fact that it was about harassment and not Gamergate as a whole. But it looks bad still. I think we're still going to have to recover the sort of the damage from that, and maybe put out or at least try and build some sort of communication with.
Well, we have been communicating with Blizzard. We have been sending them emails and talking to them about it. I think that they might know what's going on, but because they're obviously a big company, they can't say, "Oh yeah, we totally support these guys," because there is still big media that is going to totally trash them for that. They are going to go right after them and say, "Oh, Blizzard supports people that harass, and they support Gamergate and this and that." So I don't think that we can really judge them, like, thus far. I'm going to assume that they are at least neutral on it.
I'd like to, in an ideal world. I mean, I think the damage has been done that has been spun, basically, and it's quite funny. Obviously, yes, it has been spun by the people that we've been mainly in a massive PR war with, so it's bound to look worse than it is in that respect. I'm gonna hold out some small hope, basically, that we can bring potentially in the future Blizzard to the table, if in a sort of consumer advocacy type movement, to discuss what was said there, because it is still ignoring a lot of the issues that Gamergate is bringing up. It's focusing again on the harassment issue rather than the journalistic sort of principles that we're fighting for.
To add to that, I have several theories of what might be going on with what this guy is saying and stuff like that, but I don't like divulging into speculation because that's all I really have to go on. And honestly, I should if I was to even be speculative, I'd have to get all the information available before I could even lay forward a theory about it. Ultimately, though, he didn't actually condemn Gamergate. He just condemned the harassment that was going on around on Twitter and also within the whole controversy. Because if anyone really takes an objective look at the issues, whether Gamergate is right or wrong, there has been harassment by both people.
Yeah, definitely by both sides.
Yes.
And by third-party people.
Yes, people who
But you
identify.
think they're talking about them.
Well, have you actually identified much with Not Your Shield at all? Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was part of our sort of our discussion. Is lack of sort of media coverage of Not Your Shield, and that being a bit sort of disingenuous. I mean, has anybody approached you to discuss Not Your Shield, or have you seen anything in the media? Because, as I said, I don't generally read most of these sort of publications, and I haven't seen much mention of it. Have you seen anything?
In the media? No, nothing in the big media, at least. I don't like I said, I'm a bit like you. I don't always, because I'm busy. I'm not always able to catch every single news thing about Gamergate, even though I probably should. But I'm trying to think if I've been approached a few times, but it was always by like people that were like telling me that I shouldn't be supporting harassment and things like that. I'm like, I'm not supporting harassment. I'm standing up for what I believe in. And then they're just like, you're just confused. You know, it's just the same old that a lot of people in Not Your Shield are getting. I have a guy that was trying to argue with me earlier today. I don't even know. It just kind of like devolved into him trying to tell me that I'm stupid because I'm a student, and he knows more about gaming than I do because he's been gaming for since like the 80s or something. I'm like, dude, I'm in the actual industry and you're a guitarist. I don't think that you can really say a lot about the industry.
It's there's this really strange notion that some people can speak for what developers actually know, or what people who are actually studying know, and I think that can sometimes work on both sides as well, but it's primarily sort of like a tactic just to discredit anybody who's slightly different from what the norm's supposed to be. Girls in STEM and tech are actually quite a rarity, but then to treat someone like that who is in the field is a bit fucking counterintuitive for them, surely not? Yeah. To discredit
it's like they expect me to. It's almost super sexist that they expect me to be like this shrinking violet that needs somebody to come and fucking save me because I'm a girl and I'm so defenseless. No, I fucking stand up for myself. I speak out against people I don't like. And, it has to do, fuck all, with me having a vagina. That does not affect how I make games. It does not affect how I'm going to act.
Yes, no, I tend to agree. The problem, it is always quite funny that you see, I can't believe I'm bringing it back to her, but with Anita and her damsel in distress trope, yeah, the majority of her career is based off of her being a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, aren't you against that?
Not when it benefits her.
Yeah, exactly. She's just a bit of a con artist, but I just always thought that was quite ironic. And you've got your literally who's identifying as a feminist, yeah, is essentially appalled the entire argument when you see them go on any of the big news channels and things. It's incredibly ironic. It's it's like they're not even aware of the kind of irony that they're kind of like this kind of self-fulfilling, like that they are just kind of portraying themselves as these like little flowers that need protecting from everything and everyone. So surely, if they wanted to set a good example for it, for the, for any of their followers or people who look up to them, they just kind of ignore it as best as they can and work past it. But you don't see them doing that. People like Sarkeesian, their career now, her career now isn't even about tropes in video games for the most part. It's literally her going to different conferences and talking about how to deal with online harassment.
Yeah.
She's made a career out of harassment. Like, what? I just don't get it. And the fact that nobody seems to call her out, who seems to be following on her side for that, is just kind of disgusting.
The harassment is paying for her ability then to go into schools and talk about these kind of, the curriculum that she tried to put together for, which is very dangerous because none of that is scientific. It's all based on feels, and it hasn't been, it hasn't been
peer reviewed at all.
Yeah, it just hasn't been well researched. She's not an academic, and to address her as one is fucking dangerous, basically.
I have one question, and it's going to sound a bit devil's advocate-y, because that's what I'm going to play today, the resident devil's advocate.
Oh, we need that.
Yeah.
Fleming, when you hear stories, and I usually call them like sappy stories about women who get involved in the industry and things happen to them, like harassment, or things happen to them like sexual advances, are you worried about that, or do you have a better outlook or something? I don't know.
Well, it's hard to explain when you're not in the game design community.
Yeah.
But I personally have experienced I've actually had a stalker before, and
Wow.
yeah, they were in the game design field, but like I feel like some people only focus on the fact, oh, you have a stalker in game design field. I also in the game design field had roughly 20 other people defending me from this guy, telling him to fuck off. I think that when people just talk about like these kind of sappy stories, they're just wallowing in it and not going out to get help, not talking to their friends about it, and not using the resources that other people in the industry will give to them. If that makes any sense, that probably wasn't well articulated.
Before we continue, I'd like to introduce Sabrina. Or rather, I'd like to give her the opportunity to introduce herself since she just joined on, and we were going to have her on the third hour, but she told us she has limited time. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Sabrina. I've been supporting Gamergate since roughly the beginning. I was following the conspiracy, etc. stuff, just like as from afar, not really that involved with it. And when the gamers are over, blah blah blah, articles came out, I was not happy. So Gamergate became something that I became a part of because I really didn't like the attitudes of journalists. And for the last couple of years, I've found a lot of their tone has been really distasteful towards their audience. So yeah, and I'm still here. Any questions?
Yes. Hold on. Sorry, I was a bit busy.
John, you are a terrible host.
Stop, you
come
fucking
on.
spaghetti. You should prepare some questions. Jesus Christ. I have to signal boost, I have to doorman. What else do I have to fucking do for you? Do I have to wipe your ass?
Well, I'll tell you what I need to do.
Well, you have to be a good secretary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it appears I need to grind up my shit posting score. So, anyway, how do you feel about where you are now? Like since your initial reaction from finding out about things, and then over the course of the few months.
I'm pretty surprised that we're still here, to be honest. I think that Gamergate has come really far for what's basically a grassroots consumer revolt. I mean, I don't think anyone expected it to last this long. When people were talking in the first week or so, everyone expected it to be over so quickly. They just thought people would go away, and I think that really shows you how out of touch with reality a lot of the journalists are. They don't understand how angry the way that they've been behaving has affected their target audience, and they weren't prepared for it. So I feel like although Gamergate's, I mean, we've had some issues in the last week or so, the last couple of days especially, The fact that there's still so many people here that are dedicated, sending out emails every day, is testament to the fact that we can change things.
Okay. What is your opinion on when did you first start using Not Your Shield, and what does it mean to you?
I think I first started using it the day it came out, and I was just, like a lot of other women and minorities, just feeling really disenfranchised because they were, a lot of the opposition to Gamergate were holding up, you know, minorities and saying, well, these are the people that we're defending, we're making games more inclusive for them, and it's rubbish, isn't it? I mean, they weren't listening to people who were these, you know, these minorities who were women, and they were just content to talk for them, and that's incredibly insulting, and I'm sure the other ladies in this stream probably felt very, very annoyed by it. I mean,
sister.
yeah. It's just so, I don't like to generalize, you know, the people that on the other side, but most of the ones that have told me my opinion is stupid or wrong, etc., have been white men. And it's not a couple, it's pretty much 99% of the people that have told me I'm, you know, a sock puppet or whatever have all been white men, and that's just really frustrating. I mean, it feels like your experiences aren't worth anything. I'm sure that's what other people have felt too. So for me, it's incredibly important as a way of saying, no, just stop talking on behalf of everyone. You can speak for yourself and maybe others who have let you speak for them, but that's it.
Yeah.
Has any media outlet, have any media outlets approached you for, you know, potentially your side of the story, or?
Oh, well, there are a few stories. I can't really say all as much as I'd like to, but I did get a pitch for a major outlet accepted. But they seemed to think I was against Gamergate, and when I actually clarified, they were suddenly not very interested anymore. So I think that's interesting.
That's
Wait,
very
you're not
telling.
being harassed? Fuck off.
Pardon? Sorry?
No, saying, was it essentially, wait, you're not being harassed? Oh, you fuck off.
Yeah, well, you know, the piece that I wanted to do was specifically about a lot of the harassment that our side has gotten, because at that time the whole narrative in the media was these people are being awful and harassing this group of poor women, and people on our side, especially women, were getting awful stuff sent to them, and no one was willing to admit that, and that's just completely messed up in my opinion. I think it really betrays the fact that they don't actually care that much about people getting hurt. Rather, you know, what's more important for them is forcing their side and their agenda, and I cannot respect that.
Yeah.
Was that a British publication, or?
Yes, it was.
Okay, that's probably enough said.
Well, there are two involved in this, and I'm pretty sure you can guess one of them.
Wait, Pigeon, what the fuck? Seriously.
I'm just going to go ahead and not... No, I was going to say something really stupid that would have kind of given Sabrina a reason to put her foot in her mouth. I think I'm going to avoid
Pigeon,
that.
hold the spaghetti in. Hold it in.
Hey, Mr. So Sabrina, have you... see, this is my John Kelly impression. It's really good, isn't it?
Oh.
Conservative, yeah.
Oh,
sorry, that's my John impression, sorry.
But no, sorry. So, Sabrina, what do you actually do? How did you? So we know how you got involved with Gamergate. So, what aside from Gamergate, what kind of things are you up to? Like, are you involved in the video game design industry like Lemming, or are you just more of a video game player, or?
I'm just a player, and I've kept up with, you know, when I was a kid, etc., I used to spend all of my pocket money on video game magazines, and I think we all know that perhaps the journalistic integrity of them back then wasn't fantastic either, you know. The old magazines in the 90s, early noughties were not the highlights of journalism, but I've been, I don't know, reading all the websites, etc., but I've had to slowly blacklist more and more of them. I used to go on all sorts of websites, but then when a lot of what I think is ideology started coming in, I just had to stop reading these sites. And for me, a few years ago, I was introduced to the whole social justice side of things through Reddit. and I found out about Tumblr in action, etc., and highlighting really how absolutely insane, like the really left-leaning social justice can be, and you could clearly see the parallels between that and the kind of ideas that were being pushed in gaming journalism, and that really turned me off. So this has been something that I've felt quite strongly about for a few years now, so when Gamergate came along, I've been waiting for it, basically.
Yeah. I think that one thing that Gamergate has shown is basically that a lot of people who thought that they were alone or in a minority, I think they've discovered over time that they're not.
Yeah, definitely. I think that sense of solidarity is incredibly important, because I felt like I was constantly being told, especially by other women, that I should feel more oppressed, and if I'm harassed, then that means that's a representation of all men, and I should judge them for that very harshly, and I should be much more active in speaking out against I don't know, men in general, and it's never tallied up with my experience. I mean, I've done hardcore raiding in Warcraft, hardcore arena, etc. So areas that are quite male dominated, and their vision of the gaming community is one that I just don't recognise, and I think it's completely disingenuous the way that they portray it. So I don't think that they have the best interests of improving the community at heart. I think that they are just professional victims. They enjoy the intention, and they enjoy the prestige that being a victim gets them. So yeah, I just don't believe they're sincere, I think, is what it comes down to.
Just a completely off-topic question. When you were hardcore raiding, what class and spec did you play?
I was a hunter. I was a marksmanship hunter in Wrath of the Lich King.
Me too. I just restarted the. I just renewed my subscription today, partially because of some of the community's support, and partially because I
wanted to play recently.
Well, partially because last year I was at PAX East, and there was an issue with the Heroes of the Storm server that they were giving us. So actually, one of the guys that was head of the head of the game design department for Heroes of the Storm came out, just walked down the line of people that were waiting, shook hands, and talked to everybody for 5 minutes, 5 minutes each. He had a conversation with every single person.
Wow, that's really cool.
So I'm just I'm gonna give you some money, Blizzard, because you deserve it.
I've given them way too much money. I mean, I haven't played WoW for a few years now, for quite a few, but I remember spending £20 on a shiny mount when I was a student, and I just think, what a dumbass. What a fucking dumbass I was.
Fucking unicorn, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did.
Jesus Christ.
Well, on
special
topic,
mounts as well.
on topic, how do you respond to the sort of Blizzard, the BlizzardCon speech and?
Well, the big thing there is to note how many people on the anti-Gamergate side twisted that immediately. I think that that's, again, very telling of the attitude here. It's all about making it support what they're saying. They're not actually interested in the content. They're just interested in how to use it as a weapon against people who may be criticising them. So I feel like I completely support what Blizzard are saying. I've received some harassment. I'm sure lots of people involved in this have, and I want it to stop, obviously. And I think we should all be able to agree that harassment is bad, but the fact that it's been twisted by so many people is very suspicious, I think.
Guys, something important. Okay, and not to interrupt you, but did any of you guys know about that cute hunter Maddie Bryce? Yeah, she just got kicked off IGF.
Yeah, I saw that, and everyone's now jumping to arms against Gamergate. But it's like, did you see her tweets? I mean, I assumed they were funny. They were supposed to be funny.
What kind of fucking idiot would say, yeah, no, I'm going to be delivering any game with the man?
It's attitude. Who wants that? It's unprofessional. It's pathetic.
It's a bit like when that woman who went to do relief aid in America, and before she left to go in Africa rather, and before she left, she was about to get on a flight, she tweeted something like, "Going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS and die, lol." Obviously, that did go over well. So I'm glad that IGF at least have kind of taken the same kind of no-nonsense stance on this, because I wasn't expecting that much from them, to be honest.
Oh, interesting. The pro Gamergate thread on the WoW forums has been deleted.
Yeah, I did hear about some censorship going on. I think maybe talking to community managers might shed some light on that.
Yeah. When it comes to like, if honestly, if the WoW forums are for like WoW issues, in my
Oh,
experience.
they have an off-topic though.
Yeah.
Thing.
And there was a lot of support for Gamergate on there, an awful lot of support.
Sabrina, you cut off there.
Sorry, yeah, I was just saying there was a lot of support on the forums, on the WoW forums for Gamergate.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. I don't know how reflective that is of the WoW community as a whole, but from my experience, the Blizzard forum communities tend to divide into two people. There's like the people who are reasonable, and then there's the people, which unfortunately I think this is the majority of people, who just want to shitpost all the time. So it's kind of like 4chan in a sense.
Yeah, it's mainly the rogues doing that.
4chan, but prettier.
Also, could you? This is the first I've been hearing of the IGF situation. Can you cue for me and those listening in what's going on with that?
Do you want to go, Lemming, or?
Okay, sure. Okay, so there is a pretty lady on Twitter. Her name is Cutie Hunter Maddie, and her Twitter handle is xmaddybryce. It seems like she is on the panel for. She's a judge on the panel for IGF game for the Indie Game Foundation kind of competition. And a few days ago, she started talking about how she was going to give every game with a male a low score, and I was obviously like, whoa, that's not good. So I looked on her thing, and I'll just read you off some of her fucking stupid tweets. Alright, if there isn't lesbians fucking in the game, it's automatically out of the awards. Don't worry, GGers, every single game that has anything involving a man will definitely be nuked, but in the IGF, I have that power, most def.
Wait a minute, do you think that she's being sarcastic when she mentions that, or is that actually
even if she is, even if she is being sarcastic, that is extremely unprofessional. Like,
Matty Bryce has been a big issue with regards to Gamergate, and this is going to get Brianna Wu all up in arms again, because Matty Bryce originally recused herself from the whole thing, which then Brianna Wu used to say that she was harassed out of Gamergate, which wasn't the truth.
No one knew who she was. That was what was hilarious. We were being blamed for it, and in the tag, people were like, "Who's Matty Bryce?"
And now to just basically pour petrol on a situation that's currently going to be, going for a long time, going to have a lot of fire in it, is just not the sense. Even if they are sarcastic, have some fucking common decency and some...
It's just unprofessional. I mean, would you want someone like that representing your organisation? Because I sure as hell wouldn't.
Well, that's what I said in the email. I said that I did not think that her actions and her words were a good representation of IGF, and that they should take action as they see fit.
What did you get an email back from them, by the way? Because there was a thread on Kotaku in Action where someone got a response from them, and it said, "Hi there, we looked into this when these tweets were first brought to our attention and determined that it was indeed a joke. Thanks for getting in touch." What kind of response was that?
I've not gotten anything left. I can go. Hold on, I'll go check my email account. I did kind of. Hold on. Okay. Let me see if it's in my junk. No, I do not have anything from them.
So they only replied to, I don't know, maybe the first couple of emails or something, and then didn't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the IGF has been having a lot of issues with Gamergate anyway, so this isn't the first.
Yeah.
Won't be the last thing. It's just kind of now interesting to see all these people pipe up saying, I will. What was it? Who was it who's just come up and said they're going to boycott it if
is that Courtney Love or?
I think it might have been Roguestar.
No, somebody said they're going to boycott the IGF. Who was a journalist? If Matty Bryce is.
Yeah, obviously not Roguestar.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Are
Anyway,
you surprised? I mean, do you think that it's surprising that they threw her under the bus, as some people are saying it?
I'm very surprised because it just kind of like anything like that legitimizes some of our gripes, and they're just not into that kind of thing. You know, they usually just play the card of oh well, you know, we'll carry
It's a
on as
joke.
normal.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised, to be honest. I feel like it's boosted their credibility a bit, honestly.
It
I
won't
feel
last.
I feel like I don't know if it totally means that they are kind of going a little bit more neutral. I think that they just looked at this crazy person and was just like, yeah, she's not fitting in with our so like, you know, they're looking at her and they're seeing that she's bull baiting and that she's trying to get a reaction out of people. And I think that they thought that she'd be more of a liability than a help.
Yeah.
Well, she is an activist. Like, shouldn't they? Should they expect something like that? They know who she is when they hire her. They know what she stands for.
I don't mean to sound kind of terrible, but it was probably they only hired her because she was a woman and she was also African American.
Ooh.
That is
Shots
a
fired.
very legitimate thing that happens in the game community. Like, for example, I know that I'm probably about 2/3 as likely to get a job as my male counterparts, even though I might not be as good as they are, just because, you know, I'm a girl and they want diversity.
Yeah, I do
Right.
think there are some cases of that happening.
But Sabrina, I have a quick question. You were saying that you don't believe that their intentions are good. What makes you think that?
Do you mean about like social justice people
Yes,
who will
yes.
say, just the fact that there's so much hypocrisy? You know, like they'll say this is totally unacceptable, this is disgusting, etc. And yet, if it's someone else that it happens to, for example, doxing, you know, like they say so many strong statements about how bad it is, and yet, if you look at the Reddit user Violent Acres or whatever his name was, they will mainly support his doxing. They will say, no, in this case, it's fine. So that's why I feel like they're not sincere, because it seems like they've got one rule for themselves and then another rule for people that don't agree with them. So that makes me.
No, I understand.
Well,
yes.
that and they were like fucking selling IA's docs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they again played it off as a joke, didn't they? Like, this is just, you know, it's funny.
It's not that. It's
if you're gonna
just
tell a joke, sorry to interrupt. I'll at least.
Yeah, it's okay. I was kind of done.
Okay. If you're gonna tell a joke, you have to do it in the right context, and you have to be clear that you're, you know, playing stand-up or something like that. Like if you're a parody account using Twitter, I'd say that it's pretty clear you're joking there. If you're someone who's representing a company, you should be careful of what you say, or at the very least, separate your business account from your personal account so you don't get shit like this flung at you.
Even that doesn't work, though. You're not allowed. People are having a very hard time understanding nowadays that everything's interconnected. You can't. It doesn't matter if you say. If you put a disclaimer on your Twitter profile saying, everything on this account is my opinions and not of my company, it doesn't matter. You're still accountable for that.
We've had our own problem in Gamergate this week with that, with the Secret Cabal Skype call thing, you know, with the Agents of Balance, where, you know, the guy came in and said it was a joke, you know, and accepted some responsibility, but wasn't willing to kind of accept that the joke had gone too far. It had hurt people that weren't even intended to be, you know, caught up in this unraveling of what happened earlier this week, and just failed to sort of acknowledge that, you know, humor is potentially sort of a dangerous weapon, especially if it's not framed right, if it's just during the wrong time. You know, just have some responsibility and own up as well when you are called out on it.
Totally agree with you there.
I was just wondering, how would you guys like to see this Gamergate situation end? At this point, would you want an apology or a firing? What would you like to see happen?
That's actually kind of hard to say. I guess that I'd really like to see, you know, people that are obviously toxic. I want them to be fired. I want I want every single website to be way more transparent with what they do and who they support. Yeah, that's the win state for me. That, and I also want to be able to trust that I won't have ideals forced on me when I'm making my games.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if journalists could perhaps start listening to critique, then I don't think there's any need for them to necessarily like be fired or anything. But I just feel like there's a massive, they're just not engaging and they're not willing to engage, and that needs to change. I think that Gamergate will keep going as long as they fail to acknowledge any criticism, anything really. That's what I want that's different.
Hmm. Yeah, I think at this point in time, the consumer revolt needs to essentially start establishing clear end goals of what we want. We might not get them right away, but if we do that, I think it will be a positive step forward, and we can see basically we can see the means to have our Treaty of Paris, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a lot of discussion at the beginning of Gamergate about how having goals would be a weakness, and I think that at the time that was probably correct. But I think now it might be a good idea to start trying to establish some of these clearly, so that we've got something to discuss and put on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the big problem, isn't it? A lot of people say that this isn't a PR war, and I agree to an extent. But the problem is that when the general public look in, like I know a bunch of older gamers who have only kind of got a periphery idea of what Gamergate's about. And when I ask them, so what have you heard about this Gamergate thing? Have you been following it at all? They essentially kind of go, well, I tried to look into it, but
You can't penetrate the mass of information and opinions and everything. It's very difficult.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely something that needs to be addressed. That's always been kind of a huge issue with Gamergate, is that it seems that half the people are like, we want ethics and gaming journalism, we don't, and then the other half are like, we don't want you pushing your bullshit onto us, and then there's the other side.
Well, guys, ¿por qué no las dos? Why not both?
Yeah, exactly.
For me, they're tied together. I think that I know a lot of people on the anti-Gamergate side say that, oh, ideology is completely, that's nothing to do with ethics, etc. But I feel like that journalists have a responsibility to their audience, and that they should be not just assuming things like this is sexist, etc. If you disagree, you are also a sexist. That kind of attitude, which is something that you can't always put into words, I guess, but we have seen a lot of it, and that needs to change.
Has anybody, I mean, as this trucked on, I think we had this question last time on the Saga on the stream, but as this has trucked on longer and longer still, has anybody here had any sort of confrontations in real life?
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah, you go first.
Yeah, somebody can go first, it's fine.
I've had a few things, these are over Facebook pretty much, where I got involved in a debate, and the first comment that I got was actually questioning whether I was a woman, and I'm like, this is my Facebook account, I've got loads of pictures on there of me, and you're questioning my identity. That's just, I mean, wow. And they linked like a ridiculously biased article, which was actually, I think, Rational Wiki, which is awful, just awful. It's about as rational as, flatter creationists kind of thing. And they were just going on about how it was all harassment, and it was just, you can't get a word in edgeway with these people that they will listen to. And yeah, there was no point engaging at that point, and I stopped. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely kind of feel that there's definitely some, what's the word? Not commiseration. What is it when both sides come to an agreement to meet somewhere in the middle? I can't believe I forgot
Common
this
ground?
word. Not quite. Fuck. It's where you meet in the middle on an issue and you both kind of. I can't even remember. It's something like that. But anyway, we essentially need to kind of come to an understanding that we need to meet somewhere in the middle, in the sense that like a huge problem within Gamergate at the moment is that I do kind of feel like a lot of people are very sensationalized when it comes to what they believe Gamergate will and is achieving. And I think we definitely need to just refocus the message, and we need to essentially we need to be able to open up a dialogue, like a way of discussing things with these people without branding them as anti-GGers, or we have to be able to have an open discussion and dialogue. Otherwise, we look just as bad as the other side.
I would love that to happen, but I have just seen absolutely no indication. Like, I'm pretty open for discussion and debate, etc., but I have seen like hardly any indications of people that are willing to even talk to Gamergate, because for them, from their perspective, if they do that, then they will be supporting harassment or something. I mean, how do you even know about dealing with that?
To them, there is no debate. To them, this is just a bunch of people upset. There isn't a debate.
Then people need to potentially formulate an objective that doesn't necessarily require them for at least an end game, because we don't want to drag this out as long as Occupy. I don't think a movement should be based not on its longevity but its objectivity, basically, and what we actually accomplish. So I think if we actually survive into Christmas, we should start looking at pooling together ideas, talking to each other rather than being reactionary, and actually do that, put together something objective that we can take to someone, either as a consumer advocacy group, which will back up the message that this is about journalism and ethics, that we are consumers and we are not being represented properly in the media, or by these articles that are impacting on games developers. Take that somewhere, codify it properly, and
Total Biscuit might be useful at broaching that to some of the editors in chief, etc., of some of the bigger sites. I think we need voices like that.
He's just very elusive for the common person to get a hold of, which is a bit annoying, basically.
The elusive Brit.
Yeah, I don't blame him, though. He does. If anyone can take the title of e-celebrity, it is Total Biscuit. He has 2 million subscribers at this point. Am I correct in saying that?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, but he has millions of people following him as opposed to the thousands that whatever those other guys in Gamergate have had, with the exception of Adam Baldwin, who I'm sure has like 20 million people following him.
He's got about 200k last I checked, I think. 200 and something K.
Huh. I guess that technically makes Total Biscuit a bigger celebrity, technically. But also, I just wanted to address something someone posted in the chat real quick. Someone said that basically our end goal should be to kick all the SJWs out of gaming. No,
that's impossible.
Yeah, that's one.
And some of them will agree with.
It is impossible, but it's also exclusionary. We're not going to do that. We're not. That is completely against what we should be for, which was inclusion. Supposedly, we should be able to have these spaces with these people, even though we don't see eye to eye on all their opinions.
I don't mind their criticism or critique, etc. It just shouldn't have a free pass. It's got to be, everything should be challenged. Basically, I don't think people are saying get rid of all feminist critique ever. I mean, that's hopefully not what everyone wants.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the concern trolls, absolutely. Those people are just like, they are a problem, because essentially they're just they're trolling people, and they're doing it thinking that they're doing it for a greater good, when really they're just being hypocrites. So if you mean that, then I'd be inclined to agree. But saying, oh, well, all these social justice warriors, we need to get them out, push them away. No, we can't. That can't be a solution, because then we become just as bad as them. So we have to keep in mind that there's going to be people who have really, really messed up ideologies and are going to be part of gaming. I mean, by that logic, we could also kick out Scientologists and, I don't know, rednecks or whatever, but that would be exclusionary as well. So
yeah, there's that, and there's also, I mean, a lot of things going on in the chat about destroying Gorka. I think people have maybe got to temper that sort of argument, because even if we were, in best case scenario, to destroy Gorka, which I don't think we'd be able to do, because you need something mafia level basically to get them on, or tax evasion or something like that, to destroy such a large corporation as Kinja, which has which can run at a loss for ages. Any big corporation can, even smaller ones can, and I've been part of a business that's small with only £1 million turnover that ran at a loss for bloody nearly 5 years. So we have to dispel that kind of myth, and potentially we're not going to. I think we've got to a point now with Gorka where we're not going to see any more from them. I mean, we've
really stamped them flat.
yeah, I mean, Stephen Tortillo has, he's not going to bend. He's flatly agreed to not put out a ethics policy. Gorka maybe it will be its own downfall because it's not particularly liked in journalistic circles. But it's not to say if one of them goes away, one arm of Gorka Media or Kinja Enterprise basically goes away, that it just won't be filled up by, for instance.
It relies on human nature, doesn't it? I mean, that's why Gorka exists, because loads of people will click on that kind of stuff, and until the general public gets bored of it, then it's going to be around forever.
Yeah, I need to say an inconvenient truth to the chat as well, just in general when it comes to things like Gorka. We've really, it's great that you're going after their advertisers, and it's definitely causing the make. However, I've talked to someone who is actually like a market analyst when it comes to like let's just say like video game websites. And Gorka's not doing badly in terms of any kind of revenue. And do you know why? They've lost all these advertisers, but they've got a lot more traffic. And do you know where this traffic all seems to be coming from? Twitter. Who do you think? Yeah, we are actually keeping them afloat. So we need to kind of dispel the idea that Gorka's gonna die, guys. Yeah, we're gonna manage that. No. Okay, it's great. Keep sending the emails.
Honestly, we don't need to kill them. I mean, what we did was we kind of crippled them a bit. Like, they are a lot less willing to speak out at the moment in the last week or so, aren't they?
Yeah, they kind of.
That's pretty big.
They duck out from behind cover, fire shots, and then duck back in.
But they are on, the defensive as far as Gamergate goes. I mean, they wanted to, I'm sure, publish a lot more articles critical of it, but that's not been forthcoming. So I think we should just move it on.
Yeah, Herman's actually saying something there that he agrees that he can't destroy Gorka. We need to create gaming journalism anew, and I agree. And so there we go. Support what has come out of Gamergate, like Niche Gamer, or go out there and create something. Be entrepreneurial. The market allows for many things to exist, but you've got to make a good product. So.
And that's what I think what the problem is. I mean, I'm looking in chat, and they're basically saying we're confusing SJW with SJ activists.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily true. From my experience as a political academic, let's just say for now, I've seen them before. They're not really new. The only problem we have here is that they're in authority positions. How did that happen? I have no idea, but they're there.
Well, they're exploiting bills.
I think, the ideology though isn't necessarily an issue because it's based on emotion. And at the end of the day, even political science fields, we don't take them very seriously at all. At all. So it's. I'm not really afraid of SJWs. What I'm afraid of is they're in positions where they can say anything they really wanted to, and there's no counter. There's no criticism. There's no questions. They don't like questions. So even in forums, they ban people from forums. How did they get in power? I have no idea.
And a lot of it centers around guilt as well, the creation of an atmosphere of guilt. Which is what I don't like, basically. Guilt for having an opinion that's... it's going back to that thing, that we discussed earlier. I really dislike that. You want equality for women, or you're a feminist. You still go back to that. That's not the case. There are subtle nuances, and if you dilute, basically, the conversation to that point, life is going to be very boring.
Two things real quick.
Oh, okay.
Just a minute, Lemming. Two things real quick. The first being that normally we plan on a 3 or 4 hour show, but since we invited one of the guests early, and also because I need to do some other...
Drop the spaghetti. Yeah.
I'm not dropping the spaghetti. Hold on. we'll be ending a half hour earlier, so at the half hour mark of this hour, we will be ending the stream, and this is not a case where I'm just going to keep extending it because I really do have to end it early this time. I do apologize for that. The second thing being on the Gawker discussion, I like to point out that although hits for Gawker have gone up, we have not yet entered the next financial season or quarter, and the financial hits that we have done and dealt blows to them, we will see an impact in that. And Gawker, who rents a $75 million suite in New York to keep up their activities, will collapse under its own weight if they keep going the direction they're going in, because I believe we will only see more advertisers pull, and it doesn't matter how many clicks they get because the value per click is slowly going down. So we are making headway on burning Gawker. However, whether we burn Gawker or not, we still have to make goals beyond getting rid of Gawker. Gawker put its foot in its door and then threw the whole body in as well, and that's why we were able to get him. But other companies are a bit more PR savvy and will keep the longevity. And if Gawker does leave, they will take over what the business that remains. So there has to be a greater goal than just getting rid of one or two websites.
Yeah, I agree with that. But as I was saying beforehand, with the social justice warriors and how they operate, a lot of it is preying on people's guilt. I see a lot of people on Tumblr going after guys like white straight guys. I've seen this before where he was talking about the fact that his dog just died and he was very upset, and then somebody came in and was like, well, it's just a dog, try being a black trans woman and then we can talk about being sad. It's just yeah, it's just stuff like that where like, you don't have a right to your emotions because, you aren't as oppressed as these other people. You don't have a right to feel sad because your story isn't as sad as these other people's.
Is that a logical fallacy? Like, I've had arguments with people over shit like this, not necessarily in a social justice warrior kind of way, but I remember once getting into a huge argument over Steam with a friend of mine, because I was like, oh shit, Robert Williams has died, I'm sad. And then his response was, oh, well, fucking Africans are dying every day. Why do you give a shit about Robin Williams? It's like, you can't say that. You can't just compare the emotions of people you don't know to... like, here's a logical fallacy. I forgot which one, but if you're going to play that argument, you're not allowed to complain about anything unless you are the direct relative of a child that's been raped to death, essentially. You just go down that fucking rabbit hole of who's more oppressed. It's ridiculous. And you shouldn't, like, it's sad that people, like, Tumblr kind of entertains that notion that people actually believe in it. Like, you'd think that these people would be more self-critical, but they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Did I kill the conversation?
Yes, you did.
I think
Pigeon.
you made a you made a good point. I think you explained it pretty well.
Yeah.
Lemmy, did you get your point out about real life consequences of
yeah.
Gamergate? 'Cause I don't know.
I did forget. I almost forgot about that. Okay, so this was way back when it was still kind of the conspiracy theory, and everybody remembers how there was going to be a peaceful protest at PAX Prime, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was PAX Prime. Yeah. Okay. So, I was just like, I want to take part in that and show my support. But there wasn't any, obviously, because I'm up in Massachusetts, I can't really go to PAX Prime. So what I decided to do was I wanted to go to the Boston, there's a bunch of Boston indie get-togethers, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to wear a yellow shirt, like they were suggesting, and just go there and kind of like silently protest it at this indie meetup. So obviously, because it was still like a super duper hot topic, everybody was talking about it, and since up here is where a lot of Zoquin's friends are, I was like, well, maybe I should take somebody else with me, just in case, something bad like really does go down. So as I immediately thought of one of my friends who was a really nice guy. He was friendly. We've always had pretty good conversations. And I was like, oh, he's definitely big, and he can probably defend me from whoever tries. If anybody does try something, he can defend me. So I call him up, and I'm like, look, I'm thinking of going to Boston Postmortem this weekend. Would you mind coming with me, because I don't want to go alone? And he's like, why don't you want to go alone? And I said, well, I wanted to do a bit of a protest, and I don't feel safe going by myself. And he immediately knew what that protest was. He started calling me a misogynist. He was like, there's no evidence, she's a good person. And then I showed him like I brought up the thing for Define Young Capitalists, and he was like, he just flat out denied that she did anything to them. And ever since then, I've never talked to this guy, but I have been getting word that he's been doing stupid things all over Facebook.
Wait a minute, so
Facebook is one of
internalized misogyny.
Yeah, he told me that I was a misogynist. Even after
But he's
I
part of
refuted,
the patriarchy. How could he say something like that?
I almost said that, but I feel like that would have been validating his thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, it probably would.
Yeah, it would have been,
Yeah, Facebook has been one of those battlegrounds that we lost very early on because a lot of stupid people use Facebook.
I would disagree.
It takes.
I've had arguments on Facebook against the EDL, and people have dogpiled me, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ!
What? Against EDL? Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ow.
Facebook GB is full of secret right-wing fascist groups, basically.
Yeah, I know. I did have like one person who shared a Britain First post and got rid of them in short order, but I don't have a lot of people that post anything like that, so I don't really see it. I have them posting
I keep
random.
them around. I find stupidity incredibly entertaining. It's great.
They're very good at manipulating those pictures so that people start retweeting.
Yeah.
All it
takes is 10 seconds of research, though. 10 seconds, not even that.
I actually, shit, here's another IRL story. Okay, so I had another friend, and she's a trans woman. She's really cool, a bit SJWE, but that never really affected our relationship. And she put up right after Anita got the quote-unquote bomb threat, she was like, oh, can't a woman just go and critique video games without being threatened for her life? And I'm like, I agreed with her, and I said, yeah, that's definitely true. However, and I just kind of mentioned offhand that, I don't think that she's got much integrity when it comes to academics, but, she shouldn't be threatened naturally. Stupidity isn't punishable by death yet. So and then she just, she blocked me, and I tried to talk to her, and she's like, I can't deal with you criticizing my views. And I'm like, you want an echo chamber or something?
Yeah.
You have to have a challenge so that you can so that you don't just get entrenched in it. So I guess she's kind of bought into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's been blue-pilled.
Oh, she's taking it hard.
Fucking John, fuck you. Don't use that word in here.
I know. MRAs love using it around, and it's kind of stupid, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a good shorthand.
Yeah, that's how I use it as. I don't use it to mean like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't use it. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh. I just heard a zip.
Sorry. I'm wearing a one.
Like, what are they doing?
Oh my.
What?
Anyway, what was it? Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. I had a topic in mind.
Really? You? Losing your train of thought?
While
Alright.
you're remembering it, I'm gonna head off to bed because it's gone midnight here. So thank you very much for having me on, and I will chat to you all later.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Bye.
Lovely to
Have a good night.
Thank you.
See ya.
Liz F is still, unfortunately, Liz F was supposed to be scheduled as one of the guests, we might actually be able to speak to her sometime during the week. Actually, I'm still in communication with her. She does apologise that she's still delayed, so and
Oh,
probably won't make it
that's
on.
perfectly fine. We are going to do a Pigeon's Coup stream on Tuesday, and that will be a roundtable format. If she'd like to be a guest host, I'd love to talk to her about it. But yeah, that's we'll have to talk to her in the future. And honestly, I do have to get going. So now might actually be a good time to end the stream. Lemmings, did you have anything else you want to bring up tonight?
Not that I can think of, other than I just want everybody to kind of keep chugging along and not lose your steam. And take breaks. Nobody seems to understand how to take breaks.
Yeah, I have been getting the feeling from some people, like here and there, that there is a definite sense of agitation where people are like have doom and gloom and the sky is falling, and I can see where they're coming from. I know there's been some bad things that have happened like last week, and I know the hashtag is going down if you look at the charts. Which, by the way, someone please make a cat chart of that, and you know, put a rainbow on this storm cloud with that. But anyway.
Yeah. Maybe we should do another thunderclap or something.
Maybe. Syrups, you have any thoughts?
No.
Service is checked out.
I'm tired. You know what? Gamergate is a physically and mentally exhausting exercise. Even though it mostly revolves around me sitting on my ass 24 hours a day, my fingers have never had such a workout. Seriously. Oh, that sounds really wrong.
It's emotionally taxing for people. You know, I think that people don't think about emotional taxation when they come into this, and they just think that they can just, you know, just juggernaut right through it and without, you know, stopping and sitting down and having a lemonade, you know?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, one of the reasons that I did ask about sort of real world sort of repercussions of our actions is because I've just noticed as of yesterday when I was just going through Twitter cleaning up, I've lost a lot of real life friends from this, which is quite disconcerting, some of which I'll be seeing in the near future. And I know that I'll be having to have a tough conversation at least with one of them as well, who's very much along the lines that we are, you know, adamantly in the wrong, but accepts that people can have other opinions. So I hope that that's. I'm not attempting to try and convert him, but there's been a lot of loss, and it's been quite sad. And some people don't seem to realise that, you know, the longer this goes on, the potential for that happening, and obviously, you know, not everybody in the community will. I've noticed a lot of community members from the original start of the burger and fries and everything. Basically, a lot of them have disappeared. Some newer people have come on, but the community spirit in some areas is starting to lack, and especially with the loss of some celebrities as well. Some people are feeling quite because no matter how bad that was this week, they did give some focus and drive to some people's actions. And I'm just thinking to everybody, yeah, that there are a lot of, you know, consequences for our actions that we will have to deal with afterwards, and I just want to make sort of people, you know, aware of that.
Well, we are doing kind of pretty much the right thing. I mean, there's always going to be consequences for everything, good and bad. Even if, like, we know that we're right. We know that we're here for journalistic ethics. We're not here to cheat anybody out of anything. We're not trying to hurt anyone. We're just trying to make the community better. And, you know, if people are going to criticize you for that, if people are going to not be your friend anymore for that, then they're probably not your friend to begin with. You know, if they're not willing to at least hear you out.
I can understand that. Some people are quite adamantly entrenched and think that, but you can have, you know, I'm sure this will have other ramifications as well, as if the industry still is in the grips of some of these people by the end of this as well, which does give you kind of a motivation to keep on fighting, but at the same time it kind of makes you question, is it actually worth this tremendous sort of sacrifice, which some people don't realise. And you know, for some people it is literally contained to the internet, but for some it has started to spill over for them, and I have spoken to a lot of them, a fair few people that have been affected by it, and it is just a concern. It is because yes, we have created a small community here, but you know, it's how many people will be left by the end of it. It's
Well, if I
and
may
how
comment
many.
on that, what you have to remember is what we're up against is a lot of corrupt people, but there are also a lot of very stupid people. In this day and age, people aren't just corrupt, they're openly corrupt. The whole reason why we were able to find out most of the stuff we know is because the opposition is quite stupid and willing to put their foot in their mouths all the time and say the stupidest things and expose themselves for the hypocrites, liars, and con artists that they are. All we have to do is wait, and they will slip up again. And also keep in mind that the Gamers Are Dead articles are still up there. They're still on those websites. We still have them archived, and there has been no apology, no editorial saying, hey, you know what, this is a clarification of our positions, nothing. All there have been is basically people just stirring the pot from their side and stirring the pot, and they don't want peace. And as long as they keep that attitude, we have something on them.
Exactly. It's I don't want to say it's a war of attrition, but I mean, we do have basically the moral high ground pretty much. We've just got to wait for them to do something stupid again, and they will. And you know, because people are dumb.
Yeah, and speaking of stupid things they've done, look at the Doritos Pope coming forward and saying, "Oh, look, this guy condemned Gamergate." Well, he may have alluded to it, but that's not exactly what he said.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that they're neutral.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to go figure out how to build my hunter back up. I haven't played with him for 2 years.
It's easy now, don't worry. They completely nuked all the talent trees and things.
Oh, good, good. I miss those talent trees.
No, they new to them. It's pretty hard to fuck them up now.
Okay.
Pigeon,
yeah.
do you have any? Sorry.
What?
I was just going to ask Pigeon if he has any closing thoughts.
What, on Gamergate, not your shield?
Yeah.
I wish I was getting shekels for this. I'm going to go contact Nick Denton. Fuck you guys.
All right. Sour, do you have any closing thoughts?
I just want my apology. That's all. Still
Fair
waiting,
enough.
Totillo.
Yeah, I do believe that, all right, to wrap things up on the show, I do believe that right now we are at a bit of a crossroads where we need to start getting, we need to remain decentralized, but we need to start getting more organized, if you will. We need to be more focused. We need to be more goal-driven and more, we need to establish what we want out of this, our clear goals, and we need to establish a victory check mark. And until we establish that, we're not really gonna. If we don't establish that, we're going to basically fizzle out. So, stay connected with people. Help out people with. Try to combine. If you have like, say, there's maybe two projects that two people are working on. See maybe if they're like similar enough, combine them. If someone is using Twitter on the Gamergate hashtag, follow them if you haven't, and if they're like a credible person that you can respect, try to make those inroads. Build up. Don't just tear down, and still remember to send those emails out to the advertisers, so that way we can still have that impact. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Thanks to my hosts. Thanks for Sour for coming on, and thanks to the guests, including Lemmings and
Sabrina and
Lemming bot.
Sorry, I apologize.
It's
Lemming
okay.
Bot.
You suck, Joe.
I have to. I'm contractually obligated at this point to fuck up at least once every episode. All right. Anyway,
you fuck up far more than once. Do you get a bonus?
Yeah, for Nick Denton. For
After
fucking
the
up our idea.
My Gawker Bucks are it's 15 minutes in the jacuzzi for the first fuck up, and another additional 5 for each fuck up after that. So
How many
I'm really
hand
having
jobs for
Ew.
spaghetti everywhere?
Oh, he gets a nice Italian dinner. Don't worry.
yeah, don't worry about it.
Have
Anyway,
they called now? Jesus.
Neckbeard Jest, Neckbeard Jess, Sith Lord Sabrina, and Lemming T-Bot. Thank you all, and especially thanks to the viewers. Thanks to everyone who signal boosted this stream, and have a good night, everybody. Say goodbye.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
So
Right,
long.
I'll see you guys later.
Thank you
See
for
you
coming
later.
on.